Lemonaid, freshly brought to you by BlessVision Foundation. This episode is sponsored by Rotary Club of New Territories. Let's have another taste of life. Welcome to Lemonaid. I'm Carrie from BlessVision Foundation. From now on, the coming half years, every Thursday night, I and my guests will be with you every Thursday night. Lemonade, this is a drink we can find in different countries. And different countries, they got their own recipes. And definitely they will give you a very fresh taste of life, just like our guests. Every time we'll have a very special guest, they will share their amazing stories. So tonight, as our first episode, we have invited a very special guest with us. He is an Indian, born and raised in Hong Kong. Standing in the middle of two cultures, he was recruited into a trial when he was 18 years old. But today, when he's sitting beside me, he is a social worker, the first ethnic minority social workers in Hong Kong. So welcome, Jeff.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Jeffrey Andrew. Welcome you to our program.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you, everyone. Really excited to be here.
I'm so happy that you can be with us. Jeffrey, can you share with us what is the reason your parents came to Hong Kong?
Well, my grandfather came first in 1960s. Many people ask me, hey, how did you guys just come up? Did you just take a UFO and come to Hong Kong?
Yeah.
No.
1960.
1960.
Oh, wow.
So whenever I sit with my grandpa back in the day, he would tell me the old Hong Kong, how they would not take the ferry and they would just swim in the Star Ferry. And I was like, what?
What?
So that's, incredible that we're actually 3 generations now.
Wow. So why your grandpa choose to come to Hong Kong?
Well, Hong Kong was a British colony.
Oh, yes.
And then previous to my grandfather coming to Hong Kong, there were so many Indians here already. They were businessmen. They were in the army. They were in the police force.
Yes.
My grandpa came as a chef, so he was cooking curry
Wow.
in a 5-star hotel.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I believe that there will be always good food in your home.
Absolutely. That's why you can see I have a big tummy. But food is good. Food is a connection, right?
Yes. Jeff, can you share with us when you grow up in Hong Kong? What is the most challenging things?
I think, Hong Kong is one of the greatest cities in the world. I think it's probably the greatest city actually right now. But the challenging thing is my identity crisis, because in Hong Kong, I went to schools. It was segregated schools. I come out to play. I mostly play with my people that look like me. So as I was growing up, I didn't feel Indian enough. And I also didn't feel Chinese.
Yeah.
And I also didn't know who I was. So that was, I think, many of my fellow friends also felt our foundations were never strong.
Yes, because both culture, you not really connect to both culture, right? So but you also look like very Indian.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
When Hong Kong people looking at you, they say, "Oh, you are Indian." Right?
Sometimes Indian, sometimes African, sometimes it's so funny. 非洲人喎, and I'm like, no, 印度人,唔似喎,印度人. They look at the Bollywood movies and they think, no, but they're supposed to be very fair and handsome. And I'm like, well,
what?
South India also has some, dark skin. It's very diverse.
Yeah. How do you face this challenge? I believe that when you grow up, you must feel culture, loss of identity.
Yeah.
How do you cope with this?
It was hard because for me, football was a way. Church was a good way as well. Upbringing in church, because in church, it's a family. No matter who you are, you get to go to church. You get to sing the songs. Yeah. You get to go and eat food afterwards. But also another part was football. Going to the local football pitch. Yes, I would get discriminated. People will call me hak kwai, hak chai, and all that.
Yeah.
But as soon as you say "Cham mai ngola," and then they will let you play. And then when they see you play, you're not bad. They're like, wow, okay, wow. And then they will start to be your friend.
好欣賞你啊.
Right. So I always believe Hong Kong people, they're not racist. They're not. It's just they don't know how to take that first step. But when they see you have made the effort, it changed. So, football was a way. I always tell this story because I remember one time I was so fed up with my skin color. I went home and I told my mom, why you give me birth in this color? And then she would say, Jeff, if you always, if you are white, You always play football. Imagine how many times you need to take shower. and then I was like, yeah, Mom, you're right. You're right. I will never complain again, you know. But I still went back to the football pitch, and I would just fear today, will they call me this name? So for me, it was always proving myself by showing them, hey, I'm just like you. In fact, I have the ability to play.
Do you feel tired when you feel like I need to prove myself? Do you feel tired?
It can be exhausting, Carrie.
Yeah.
I think there are days when you wake up and you say, you know, what's the point?
What's the point? Yeah.
Right? Funny enough, if I go back to India, they also say you don't belong here, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you do, you know, I think I'm very lucky that I'm a Christian. I have Christian foundation. So, you know, God is always, you know, God is, you know, always been there for me. I always feel like whenever I'm down, he somehow picks me up.
Do you have a very like memorable like stories that between you and God that you really receive his encourage?
I mean, definitely when I was arrested as a youngster, you know, I'll never forget those moments. I was backsliding, and I was just taking it too easy, and I just thought I'm smarter than God.
Yeah.
Until you're arrested, that's when you really humble yourself. And when I was in that prison cell, I was stuck with so many people of different backgrounds, and I thought, oh my gosh, somebody killed somebody did this, somebody did that, and I just did something very small, and look where I am. And then I called all my friends, and they didn't pick up their phone.
Oh.
And I didn't want to call my parents because, you know, I know how disappointed they will be. So I just, for once, I prayed, and I just said, God, just give me one last chance. This is the most humiliating place I've ever been, and I don't want to be here. Somehow, I think God just put this number in my head, 9237-6464.
Whose number is
9237-6464. It's Fermi Wong, my social worker that I've been ignoring for so many months and years. So I told the police officer, 俾多次機會我打電話. And then I called 9237-6464, and I said, Fermi, 今次真係唔掂啦. And 4 a.m., she took a taxi, came down, and bailed me out.
Wow.
And then she bring me home. And I felt all this time throughout, it was just God's work. There's no way a guy like me can come out of that, because many of my friends have gone through the same path.
Yeah.
They have criminal records, they're in jail,
Wow.
or they still walk that wrong path. So I think God really that day just said, I'll give you this one chance.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's I think that phone call, that response from the social worker,
Right.
it's a very meaningful and very good transformation.
And also God just putting the mind to call that number. I probably would not have remembered it. So it's just somehow it came in. Till today, I'll never forget that number.
Yeah, it's really touched to listen to your story. So I think this is that because of you received the help from the social worker, that is the transformation of your life. Is it because of the help you have received it? So that's why you also want to become a social worker?
Absolutely. I saw the impact this woman had, not just on my life, but she took so many of us wayward sons and kids and prodigal sons and gave us a chance in life. Yeah. And I thought to myself, wow, there's this Chinese woman doing this for my community. Why can't I do this for my own community too? And then she just picked up my hand and said, go, keep studying, work hard. And then she found me a school to accept me to be enrolled in social work program. Before I enrolled, there was no ethnic minorities allowed to enroll in social work program because we didn't read or write Cantonese. But for me, she fought the school and said, give them a chance. And 4 years, night school, and 2014 I graduated.
Wow.
Very incredible. Today I'm very proud there's more than 20 ethnic minority social workers because we opened that road.
Oh wow! I think this is so amazing.
Absolutely.
When you study on your the journey to study social worker, what is the most challenging thing?
It is the first time, Carrie, that I actually studied with local Chinese students. I never had that in my primary school, in my secondary school, in my friendship circle, but finally I was forced to be in a classroom
full of Chinese
people. And it was great because I ended up hingdai in 4 weddings, and we still have a football team, and we still do tapino and Cheng Kei, so it's amazing. It's challenging, but I think if you are, I think as Christians, I think we're tested more than normal people, I really think. And I think the greatest thing is we have grace by God, you know, and we just have to keep going forward. And I'm grateful today. Those friendships molded me today to who I am, Hangongyan.
Wow.
I truly believe that, because if you are just saying you're Hangongyan but you don't even integrate, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So I always stopped victimizing myself. I used to say, oh, the world is against me.
I like the victimizing. Yeah, stop victimizing ourselves. Yeah.
And once you believe yourself as a Hangongyan, nobody can change that, right? You can't tell me I'm not Hangongyan. How can you tell me? So when you start enforcing that, it's a gradual change. Others will say, "Hai wo,佢真係香港人喎."
Yeah,
you know. So I think that is something I'm instilling in my refugee clients, in my ethnic minorities, even to the young youth. I say, believe in yourself first, have faith in yourself first, and then others will slowly cannot be shaken.
Yes,
Exactly.
right. Sometimes like we change and then others will change according to our change.
That's right.
Yeah.
冇得喐㗎, you know.
冇得喐，係冇錯，你係就係㗎啦，係嘛? Wow. And how many years you have been serving the ethnic groups and the refugees in Hong Kong?
I'm proud to say this is my 11th year.
Wow.
It's all by the grace of God again.
Yeah.
Because I only found this job through my mom being in a prayer meeting. Yeah, because I lost my job previous 11 years ago in a corporate world. I lost my job due to the financial tsunami. You know, we are now seeing what's happening in Hong Kong or the world. And my mom was at a prayer meeting and says, please pray for my son. I don't want him to go back in the wrong path again. Just help him find a job, God. And then in the prayer meeting, there was a Chinese woman who says, can you ask your son to come and have an interview?
Wow.
Yeah. So my mom came home. She says, Jeff, I found you a job. I said, Mom, where? She says, Chongqing Daiha. I was like, what? I said, what? I said, what do you want me to do there? Two things. Cook curry, jugale, or... And I said, I used to do all my bad stuff in Chongqing Daiha. Now you want me to go back?
All right.
So, but, you know, I went to the center and you saw it a few days ago. It's a beautiful place.
Yes.
You know, it's a great Christian organization.
Place.
Absolutely. So, 11 years today.
Wow. What is the most challenging things when you serve the refugees?
You know, Carrie, to be honest, even for me as an ethnic minority, I used to think, oh, we are the hardest life in Hong Kong. Yeah. But actually, refugees is even harder.
Yeah.
You know, they have no identity.
Right.
They have no status. Some of them are darker skinned than me. Some of them are, you know, may look very different from, at least I may look a little bit more modernized. But when you look at them, you would think they don't belong here. Yeah. So they really suffer a lot of, I would say, self-esteem. They suffer from discrimination. But I'm proud to say that this 11 years, we have changed that.
How do you change that?
We make them integrate. The same way I do is we bridge the gap. If you don't know us, come and meet us. Come and have curry with us. Come and exchange. Have a dialogue. And I also tell the refugee clients to give back. How do they give back? Every Christmas we do Bogayam in Star Ferry.
Whoa!
Very fun, and these guys are so amazing singers. In 2018 there was a typhoon, and the first people to clean up the streets in Tsim Sha Tsui were some African refugee clients.
You promote this activity?
They did it themselves first, and then they came to me and said, can we keep doing it? I said, sure. So I remember this story. We went to Toguawan Gongyun because it was so badly affected. And those Chinky they were like, oh, thank you. Please keep helping us. It's so heavy. And some of the African guys are big.
Very.
And then the park officials, they said, no need. So we were confused what to do. But I again remember I always say, just God always wants what's best. So I said, let's just go clean. And I remember when we went into the park, those some pawpaws sitting in the park, they were like, wow, kam do hak kwai ga lito. And I was like, oh my gosh, we haven't even done anything. And then they already said that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just said, doesn't matter, just clean. And I tell you, 2 hours we cleaned the park. I have some great photos I can show you next time.
Wow.
We cleaned it so good. It's better than you. And then those pawpaws who called us names, they suddenly disappeared. So I went to my refugee clients. I said, did you say something to those ladies? Because they said, no, we don't even speak the language. 10 minutes later, those pawpaws came back. They bring 2 big bags, bolo bao and mai tai lai.
Oh, wow.
And you just think, this is Hong Kong, right? There is a misconception, but you just keep doing good. Just keep doing good, and the mindset will change. So That's why if you ask me how, we had a horrible fire 1 month ago.
Yeah.
And just today I found out the news we have raised $2 million.
Oh, wow.
All 香港人, right? I mean, 10 years ago you tell me, 我想籌款 for 難民中心 and 重慶大廈, I don't think I will get even $1,000 or 100. But I think Hong Kong people see the value that they bring. They really... So we keep doing this, and I think God has given us a lot of platforms for change. Can you believe today refugees can raise $2 million in Hong Kong in COVID? It's a blessing.
Wow, it's really very a miracle.
It is truly God's miracle.
Because I believe that you told me when your office got a fire just like 1 or 2 weeks.
Yes.
And just within this short period of time.
Yes.
Right?
$2 million.
$2 million.
Yes.
And this is exactly a miracle.
Yeah. So I think it's like God's thing, from the ashes you rise. I was so depressed. I said, God, why would you do this to us? We already are struggling. But today I look back and I said, maybe it's God's way of just renew.
Yes. It's renewed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what is the most the difficult part for the refugees and ethnic groups in Hong Kong, as you saw?
I think number one is Cantonese. It's not an easy thing. The school system doesn't have good Cantonese for minorities. And then there's a lack of integration, employment, and then there's a vicious cycle of crime. Today, Kerry, I can tell you there are still triad members recruiting our young children because there is no requirement.
Yes.
You can join me. No need to read or write Cantonese. Just join. Whereas in other places and jobs, you need to read and write Cantonese.
Yes.
To be a fireman, you need to read and write Cantonese. Yeah. I mean, to be a fireman, you should be just giving us a chance so that we slowly can... Putting out a fire should not need to read and write Cantonese. So these are things I'm still challenging our Hong Kong. But I must say there's more acceptance now than ever before.
The acceptance level is increasing.
Very much. You see some fantastic people on TV, in the police force, teachers. I think sooner or later you will see more and more into government and hopefully one day we will not be talking ethnic minorities. We will talk maybe equal minorities.
Equal, we are. So we have to change with equal minorities.
Exactly.
And one last question, Jeff. Because I know maybe some of the equal minorities, they're now listening to the program, they may have difficult circumstances. Sure. They may face discrimination. Do you have any encouraging words for them? I
mean, absolutely. I mean, people look at me and they say, oh, 香港人 so racist. I said, no, absolutely not. If a Chinese woman can come and bail me out at 4 a.m., you can't tell me Hong Kong is racist. But one of the things I would tell my minority is to try. Just keep trying. Push it. If I did not push 15 years ago, I would not be where I am today. And I really believe you must have some goodwill, good intention. Just like we cleaned that typhoon place up. We knew we had some negativity, but people just believe, just keep doing good. Yes, it will pay off, and it really does pay off.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jeff. And I would really like to thank you for accepting us as well in this Hong Kong place. And I believe that we are equal minority.
Fantastic to hear. Yes.
Thank you so much for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Every episode we got our Cantonese time.
廣東話時間
Yeah, and I have my lovely partner Gloria with me.
Hello, Carrie.
Hello.
So today we invited Jeffrey to come along, and he is a social worker.
Yes.
Carrie, how do you say social worker in Cantonese?
社工.
社工.
Yeah.
So he mentioned he went to a park. So how do you say park in Cantonese?
公園.
公園. And he saw some elderly woman.
Yeah. The elderly women, we also call them 婆婆.
婆婆.
Yes.
Okay, so how do you say elderly man?
爸爸.
爸爸.
Yeah. So even when we meet them, we can say 爸爸你好啊 or 婆婆你好啊. 你好啊 actually it means how are you? But when we say 你好啊 how are you? Please don't feel like being offense if they not reply you, because usually in Chinese culture, when you say 你好啊, we just say, nod their head. Sometimes they may not reply.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much for explaining the differences in culture.
唔使客氣.
So how do you say thank you to for someone that did something for me?
Yeah, this is very good questions because usually when people want to say thank you, there are two words you can say. For somebody, if they did something for you, you can say 唔該. But if something like give you something as a gift, you can say 多謝.
多謝.
So both 唔該, 多謝, also the same meaning is thank you.
Okay, so 唔該 for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. And that's all for Cantonese time. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.